Okay, we are back with more Super Robot Wars Y. You know what? Before we go, because I actually have been putting off the Ace Conversations for the last two DLCs because we forgot with the last one. So let's do them all now before we start the next mission. How did you write first meet? Do not ask me questions. Yeah, that's him. God damn it. Yep. Yeah, that's true. It just does not get out the detective persona for anything. Just need to say emphasize catchphrase one more time. Congratulations, old man. Okay. I mean, they are the people surrounding her, so making sure they're good people would help her. Even though this isn't his daughter. Riley, Mr. Hardboiled. Okay, let's see what the half-boiled detective has to say now. Actually, oh no, wait, Kamen doubles after Roger and Kid. Okay. Yeah, I don't recommend Visit Paradigm City is like going to Gotham. It's just not a fun place to be. Oh no, not his rules. Yep, make sure to have a set of black clothing ready. And Roger actually can appreciate a good carefree attitude. Roger Smith he's an interesting character. It's like I said, I just compared Paradigm City to Gotham. He is much more like Bruce Wayne without Batman. He is Bruce Wayne without the trauma. It's a good thing that they are recognized as pilots. It is rather strange to categorize them as pilots, as they are not pilots. They turn into Kamen Rider. Yep, this is Philip and Shotaro's whole dynamic. Yeah, they're definitely partners. They're not buddies. They are two halves of one detective. Shotaro would not be able to solve some of the cases without Philip, and Philip would not be able to solve any of them without Shotaro. Because they need Philip's smarts, but then they also need Shotaro's instincts. Which again is interesting that he was drawn to the Joker, as it is both the worst and best card in games, which, as they've said, fits for Shotaro. So, since we actually played the DLC with Kamen Rider for SR, I actually have watched the Skull movie with PK, and it's interesting. They talk about the fact that the old man was supposed to be Philip's partner originally, at least as intended. But if it had been him, yes, early on they would have been stronger, but they would never have been able to achieve the heights that Kamen Rider Double achieves. It's also, I get why it's not here. They don't do Fang, and I get it, because for those who've never seen Kamen Rider Double, they have they have a bunch of other transformations that aren't in this game. Mostly just like alternating like some of the parts. Like they've done like Lunar, Joker, and stuff like that. And they get different weapon and ability combinations. But they skipped Fang and they skipped Extreme. I don't know why they didn't do Extreme. I think it's mostly because like Extreme is a little bit more, would have been a little bit either. Oh, hold on a second. So I thought it was work. So what I was saying, but yeah, with Extreme, okay, actually let's start with the issue with having Fang. If they did Fang, they have to switch the body, because for context, as we saw, Shotaro is the main body of Kamen Rider Double. And whenever they transform, Philip passes out. Fang is the reverse. So instead of Shotaro being the body, it's Philip. And that, I think, is why they didn't do Fang, which is a shame. I really like Fang. I like the sharper design on it. But in terms of Extreme, I don't know. I think it's because, like, story-wise, Extreme does require Philip to be absorbed into the Extreme memory. I think they could have done as, like, if they were to do it, I think it could have been done as, like, a transformation, like, say, Kaiser Grid Knight. But I think they didn't want to take away too much from Skull. Instead, they wanted to use, I think they wanted to use, like, a lot more of its base forms. And no, that's actually really it. They really just wanted to use its base forms, like Lunar Trigger, Heat Metal, and Cyclone Joker. So all of them are getting, I mean, there isn't exactly a cash prize. I like how even after all this, they're still motivated by just money. Yay! They were fun. I haven't watched their show, so I don't really have too much of an opinion on them. I've said it before with SR, I have more of an opinion on the shows that I've actually watched, of course. Like, I like Hiroshi here so far from my team, but I've not watched his show, so I don't really have much to say. Though it is interesting that it is a post, he's in a post state, so he's already done his show. I never told her, and yet I'm wearing the guy's head on my necklace. No, I'm gonna save his for last. His is the one I'm really interested in. I do like the fact that she's giving it the ace captain specifically to Dagaran. Because it's we always talk about with the Braves, whether it be Jay Decker, actually it's more along the lines of like Jay Decker and Maito, we talked about this with the Brave Express, that the Braves themselves are actual like living. They have personalities, they have desires. They're not just mindless robots. That's actually a whole thing with Jay Decker in SR30, mostly because it bounces off of Gridman's story. Like, ever so slightly, it's more so that one just bounces off of it because of Akane, and she doesn't really... She's just there really just to fuck with them and just do the Gridman plotline and then disappear. Is that a no? And Asar does a very good job. The only issue is because they're all robots, so they're all so big, they don't really get to interact with the party in, the actual, like, day-to-day stuff. You're expected to act accordingly. I will crush every enemy that gets in our way. God damn, he is just violence. I love him. I agree that this one needs to kind of work on his personal life. I've never, because if I remember correctly, this is, let me double check the story was, actually, no, I think this is original to this. Yeah, okay, yeah, so yeah, this one, the Jet Black Drifters is specifically from, Double D / X Omega. So there is no, like, manga or anything this Ryoma is based off of. All he is from, that game. I would say I've gifted you a new scarf. I don't need one. I like it. I actually kind of like how he's, like, not being rude and how he's, like, responding to her. It is an interesting take on Ryoma, who just knows only the battlefield. Because all the other Ryomas are heavily motivated by their lives. Also, that is a hell of a lineup. Yeah, I think his ego is going to be a bit much, but I also think it's time for his upgrade. This is true. This group has a lot of, like, big names. You have Koji Kabuto, the pilot of Zinger, Amuro, Ray, hero of the 1 Year War, as actually I can't say for Char's counterattacks that didn't happen, But his main claim is the 1-year war, but he also was involved in the Grips conflict to a not nearly as heavy of an extent. Which also just... One second. Hello, dog. There is a... I've noticed that there is a bit of a growing sentiment among some people with Char's counterattack, where it is just... Oh, there's a growing sentiment that Char's counterattack is just slander against Char. Hold on a second. But, yeah, no, from what I see, there's a growing sentiment of, like, people just saying it's slander Char. Mostly just because I get it. We don't see how Char gets from how he is in Zeta to Char's counterattack. It's a bit of a jump. Which is weird, as Char's creator was who made it. That's the thing. If I remember correctly, I think it was for both of them, and, like, the creator of Gundam worked on Char's counterattack, and both versions of Char's counterattack, like, just, there's so many weird things going on. The novelization does even more weird stuff, from my understanding. I've never read the novel, but I've just heard. Like, there's definitely just some weird shit going on with Char in that film. Like, the way Char talks about Lala, just, it doesn't feel right. Yeah. I mean, the manga for Unicorn is, I mean, not the manga, the light novel for Unicorn is fucking weird. Like, a lot of UC stuff has started getting, like, just really fucking weird. I think it's why, like, as I've, like, gone more and more into Gundam, I still find myself gravitating more to the spin-off, like, the spin-off timelines a little bit more, like Wing, 00, Turna, After War, and, of course, G. I love G Gundam. Oh, God. Do not get me started on Frozen Teardrop. I have issues with Frozen Teardrop, mostly on the fact that Hiro Yui should not have been pilot in that story. He should not. It feels like it's just such a disservice to his character after the events of Endless Waltz. It is just insane. Like, there's some funny moments. The one moment that always lives rent free in my head from Frozen Teardrop is Relina walking in, all the mobile suits having the zero system active, so they're all sensory deprivation chambers. She turns on the radio, just goes, "Hiro, are you still going to kill me?" He answers, just simply saying, "Yes," and then cuts comms. Yo, Mickey, don't help him with this. Don't do this slander. Even Galva's joining in on the slander. Really? Yeah, you just, like, slandered poor Echika. Really? Like, I get throwing off the scent, but, like, you could have done it better. Well, he is just a kid. But, to be honest, with this crew already, we have, let's see, we have detectives, negotiators, whatever the fuck we could call this Ryoma, just violence personified again, I guess. The 5,000-year-old mummy is honestly kind of normal compared to some of the other members of the crew. A reminder, the fucking Kaiju Club are just regulars at every restaurant in the city during their villain arc. They are fans of Valkyr. which is also fucking amazing. Yeah, no, I love it. I do. One of my. Okay, so this applies to both the Gridman storyline and the Dynazenon storyline for both 30 and Y. I love the way they use the villains. In particular, like one scene that always will be funny to me in SR30 is the one point where Akane is like offering to make a new robot for, oh god, I'm forgetting the kid's name from J Decker. Yeah, she's offered to make him a new robot, and Ernie from Knights of Magic walks up and like, no, you don't have any passion for it. You should just, I have my hobby and you have yours, so you should stick with the one you care about and have passion. She's like, what the fuck are you talking about? He's like, I'm sorry, you just reminded me of someone I met at a store once. She's like, what the fuck? I haven't been to those stores since I came to this world. Like, just subtly implying Ernie and Akane come from the same world. And, have met each other before, Ernie was isekai'd and she was brought to that world. And then the Dynazenon crew, they were just used fantastically throughout the story. Yeah, no, that's something else I love. Like, this game, like, I compare the city being an actual story element makes this so unique compared to, like, SR, V, X, and T, as well as 30. Because of the fact we do not have that heavy military structure. We just have that casual, everyday life. That is true. Like, because of the fact, like, that we have that everyday slice of life stuff, we just have them, like, going around, like, I like the fact that they've acknowledged Troa Barton just goes around town dressed as a clown, cheering up children. Then there's the, all the various branches within the city that are all made up of the pilots, including the financial branch. It's like, yeah, we got Lelouch dead, he's gonna manage our finances. Because I talked about when I was playing through the game proper. SR30, I love SR30, but one of my biggest issues is it doesn't feel like it uses the crossover setting nearly as much as it should. Like, a lot of the stories feel isolated, like, using Knights of Magic as well as Rayearth. The Rayearth plotline is pretty much left alone, with the exception of, like, they just inserted Knights of Magic characters, and they do nothing to the story. Yeah, no, Mazakaiser versus the Great General of Darkness is just used for a Great Mazinger, yeah. It is nice to actually have the Mazinger focus not be on Koji for once, because SR's V, X, and T, as well as 30, had a huge focus on Koji. Tetsuya really didn't do anything heavily in any of them outside of B, where he was just this mysterious figure throughout the entire game, mostly trying to follow Ryoma, and then turning traitor during the Evangelion plotline, which I did not like as much. But at least it added something, and it also was a way for them to play with the crossover setting, since Tetsuya was going around and actually interacting with villains and heroes of other series. Him going after the Angel was actually kind of interesting. Yeah, he showed up quick in B and T, yes. In T, he doesn't really do anything, which I think is a problem in Mazinger Infinity, just because he is not present for a majority of that film. I think they use him a little bit better in SR30, where they kind of have him involved in training. Like, that's where they started leaning more towards hey, we have Tetsuya has this huge military background, why don't we have him train the newer recruits? Which is something I really do like for the character. Though I think that is done, like, they take that to the next step with this game, with, having him and Domon just taking in multiple pilots under their wings. God, I actually was kind of disappointed Grandizer U wasn't in this game. Because it would have been really cool to have the two Mazdas and Grandizer U together. Don't get me wrong, I was actually still happy for them to go back to Great General of Darkness as instead doing the Mazinger Infinity plotline for the third time. Not for a third time, because of the fact V does the Great General of Darkness mix, but with more of a focus on Mazinger Zero, which I think was Shin Mazinger as the plotline. SRX uses it a little bit more as the Great General of Darkness characters are more present, but they still have a huge focus on Zero as a multiversal threat. T, on the other hand, T and 30 are just the, Mazinger Infinity plotline, which I don't... This is true. This is true. We're not playing Warframe! There is no Betsa! But, yeah, I was so happy, though, that it wasn't the Infinity plotline again. Though I will say, one thing I was kind of hoping for when they started, like, hinting about, like, the idea of singular points being a plot point, I was hoping that, Zero was going to show up again. Because, I was talking about this with PK before this game came out, like, what we think the singular points were going to be. Of course, we knew Godzilla and Emperor out the gate were going to be singular points. I did not expect all the stuff they listed as singular points to be considered it. And I thought some of them were actually interesting. But, we tossed around the idea of Zero showing up just because it makes sense. Who knows? There's still a chance. Like, I am Oh, I'm happy Radine came back. This, I will be honest, SRY I think has a really good cast. Like, I am very happy with the choices they made for each of them. With it being G-Witch's debut, we had the return of G as well as Wing, and it makes sense for both of them to come back with their anniversaries. I'm actually kind of... If there was one thing I would switch... As much as I love the G-Witch crew, I also would not have been mad if they decided to switch G-Witch with After War. Since all three of those have anniversaries back to back. But, again, I'm happy with G-Witch being here. I also would really like for a Stray, but it seems like they are moving away from using like the spin-offs of spin-offs a little bit. Though, well, for better or for worse. But all those, like, if they wanted to use everything from like some of these Gundam Age Gundam Age, I think they've only used a Stray and W. That's true, but also I think Age has been in an SR, right? Yeah, BX. That's what I thought.
I also will say with this DLC, I think they just come to the conclusion. They understand the assignment how it comes together. They cannot nerf this motherfucker. This is the second time they've tried to nerf Ryoma Nagari. In particular in SR30. I'd say like the first third of the game, Ryoma is on his own and Getter is slightly nerfed. And then when he gets Hayato and Benkei back, its stats are increased. And then halfway through again, not halfway through, and then after another couple missions, you get Shine Spark, and it's just fucking ridiculous from the gate. And then the fact that, again, in this one, they nerfed it by starting with Getter 1 and then only starting with Ryoma. Then when you get Hayato and Musashi, it's so fucking disgusting, and I love it. Yeah, no, Getter Devolution was actually also, again, part of this problem in SR30. Getter Devolution's crew was fucking insane right out the gate. I am still as I was saying earlier, I am still hoping for an expansion pass, because at least with DLC 1, it ends with a lingering plotline with the ghost cat. So there is a chance for them to move on to more stories. If we were to get an expansion pass, I'd kind of like something similar to what happened last time, where we got a bunch of new units, but then also the Majestic Prince crew got an enhancement. I wouldn't mind that. In particular, I'd actually really like for Gridman Universe to show up. That would be really cool to me. I don't know if it's, like I said, I don't know if it's gonna happen. I hope so. Just because I really like another big expansion like the expansion pass was. And it'd be cool if we had another OG unit return like we have with the BX and T crew for this first DLC package. I'd like for the SR30 crew to show up again, just because I'd like for those two to show up like, hey, we're here for the fucking out of control child. Also, I mentioned it, if you really want to break Kamen Rider Double, make sure you have the upgrade on the memory, where you don't have to deal with the multi-attack penalty from, being targeted multiple times, and just give him Causality Manipulator. He's untouchable. I will say, at least in terms of like the VX and T crew, they definitely use them a lot less than the DLC characters of SR30. But the DLC characters of SR30 mostly just had like some background comments. It didn't really add anything. I kind of like them not being as heavily of a focus, and at the very least,
they at least have dialogue for like the major fights at the end of everything. Like they have comments about everything on Access. I really like Chitose having a comment about if this rock is gonna fall again, it's okay. We've got Amuro Ray just acknowledging the fact that in her timeline, Access fell and Amuro pushed it back into place. I like everyone having comments on Godzilla because it's fucking Godzilla. Everyone should have a comment on Goji. He's our big lizard. We love him. We stand him. Why the fuck does he have 90% HP regen? I will also say, just looking like at the one more thing with this game's roster. Holy fuck, there are so many good snipers. Like the Pteranodon, the Bang Gray, they're all really good snipers. I'm not the Bang Gray, the Bang Next. Then also on the other side we have Wing fucking Zero, which might be one of the best. Aerial. I think Aerial might be my new favorite funnel unit. Yeah, the L-Guy Mark II is another really good example. L-Guy Mark II and Wing Zero, I think, are the best sniper units. The thing that sets L-Guy Mark II... Okay. L-Guy Mark II is a really good sniper unit. Wing Zero, what sets it ahead a little bit to me, is its map attack just being fucking phenomenal. Especially because it is move and fire. Oh, it's that other machine again. I just love the Ryoma face, like, it's here! I half expected him to go flying over and punch this robot. I have no idea what the fuck it's about.
Wait, wait, are you talking about Red Loan or the Unknown? I'm assuming you're talking about Red Loan. Huh. You know what? Yep, I see it. I see it. Well, actually, it makes sense. A lot of Brave characters are very much in a similar vein in design to Transformers, because I believe they had the same mech designer. Yeah, that makes complete sense. I pointed out, because like my first experience with a Brave series was King of the Braves and J-Decker during SR30. And I pointed out even when I first played it that J-Decker's face is just Optimus Prime with the red chin. I don't think that's a Brave. Though I could be wrong. The only thing that's also, I'd say, Spirit Deck-wise that Elgheim has over Zero is the fact that he's got, Snipe built into his kit. I will say, wait, all the redone Wing Zero animations, though, fantastic. I love them. I'm kind of sad that the rest of the Endless Waltz 2 didn't get... Yeah, Dan Kuga kind of looks like Megatron. I'm also so happy. As soon as I saw Rain confirmed as a pilot, I knew we were getting this attack. I'm so happy it's here. I do like how both of Domo's combo finishers serve a different role. The Senkia level up Hadouken has the ability for move and fire. And then the Shuffle Alliance one is, yeah, it's heavier, slightly heavier damage, but it doesn't have move and fire. So it doesn't feel like one invalidates the other. I also think they both, I have to double check this. Yeah, they have the same exact thing, a Barrier Buster and a Door Size, so it's really just whichever one you need for a situation. Oh wait, fuck, I thought I was controlling the Macross. I completely forgot I deployed him. And we has God Gundam 2. That was released after this game entered production, if I remember correctly. And I think the main difference is, like, it's got new wings. I know that. I know the new machine's got new wings. Forget what else it's got going for it. It also wouldn't have made sense to include it in this game, at least with, like, one of the whole points of this game for Domo's hotline is the Gundam fights are on hold. If the Gundam fights run on hold, I'd say go for it with the God Gundam Mark II, unless we get something with an expansion pass, and they just include that. I don't really see, like, you know, like a huge thing they could do with it plot-wise, but it's something they could do. I just know something. Is your... No, you're gonna be still CPB. Also, Kamen Rider just naturally getting press every turn is fucking disgusting. Thank you, whoever decided that. I don't think there's as much of a demand for Frozen Teardrop as people think. Like, that's like I see every time something comes up with Gundam Wing. I see people immediately going, Frozen Teardrop? Frozen Teardrop? I'm like, have you actually read Frozen Teardrop? It happened even at the 30th anniversary thing for Wing, where they're like, they just had a new mix of rhythm and motion and a new opening animation, and everyone immediately went, Frozen Teardrop? And it's like, no, they're doing model kits and a new
like, side manga, but not Frozen Teardrop. I don't get the obsession with Frozen Teardrop. And when I first heard Wing had a sequel series when I was younger, I'm like, okay, that's really cool. And then I started, like, finding pieces of what was going on, and I'm like, what the fuck am I reading? It's also nice that, like, throughout the story, they actually use, Colin a little bit more. Because in SR30, you get Colin and Suzaku, and then they do nothing for most of the story, with the exception of Suzaku helping Kid. Just because he kind of resonates with the story of, like, a knight protecting someone, because that's, like, Suzaku's biggest regret. But even still, I felt like they could have done more with him there. I like the fact that here they're using, like, every so often it is just Suzaku going around as Zero, and they've questioned, like, why do you wear the Zero costume all the time? And he's, like, completely in character. I love it. I fucking love it. Also, I gotta say, like, I love Etrika as a commander, just, like, how much more, like, wacky they could be with her compared to the others. Because, like, we had, like, some of the best captains in anime history with VX and T. I could not see any of them doing this shit. Harlock was, like, always just kind of, like, well, he was a larger-than-life pirate. He was always just kind of inspirational to see. The Nani and the Blue Water Crew had this really interesting story about, like, revenge and everything, which is wild, because if I remember correctly, it's a fucking, Anno series, if I remember correctly, because it was, one of Anno's works before Evangelion. And then Space Battleship Yamato is fucking legendary. But, like, she's younger than all of them, so, like, it feels more natural to have, like, these wacky moments with her. Even, it was Mitsuba in, SR30. She had some, like, moments, but it was never, like, to the same level. Mostly because she had, like, still had the whole military aesthetic to her.